We go. Good Wednesday morning, Market Chameleons, and everyone joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Market Chameleon pre-market show with this man, Dimitri Pargamanik. How you doing, D?
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Great. You want to start with a disclaimer?
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I and Market Chameleon, we're not a registered investment advisor. We're not a broker-dealer. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need advice, call your registered investment advisor, call your broker. That's what they're there for, to help, to give you advice, give you guidance. There's the disclaimer. And let me share my screen. Yeah, we'll just look over.
Did you hear that reverb the whole time, D?
No.
Well, thank God. It sounded there was a YouTube channel going at the same time in the background. I had to find that and shut it off. But nice job getting through it.
All right, thanks. Yeah, just let go of the screen so I could grab it.
All right, there you go.
Okay. If you guys are joining us for the first time today, we do this show every morning, really to answer any questions you may have about Market Chameleon tools, data, and analytics. If you want to also ask questions regarding strategies or something unusual you've seen, you're welcome to ask that question or come on a show and ask the question. You can type it in on the live chat on YouTube. Will's watching and he'll read those questions back to me. If you want to come on a show and ask your question live and direct, we also provide a link to Zoom. Click on that link, takes you over to Zoom. Once you're in Zoom, there's a button, raise your hand. Click on that button. You don't have to turn on your video camera. Once you're in, everybody could hear you. And then you could ask your question direct, live, navigate us to what you're looking at. So while we're waiting for questions to come in, we'll start out with the pre-market report, take a look at what's trading in pre-market hours, try to get some insights. If we don't get questions come in, I'll start navigating to other reports to see if we could get some insights from some of the Market Chameleon reports or tools. So let's start out with the pre-market report first. And here we are. These are stocks that are trading in the pre-market hours. We have a list of our most active stocks, our biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. Coming down here, I see 67 stocks made our percentage gainers list, 51 on the decliners. So right now, kind of even, slightly bullish bias at the open from this perspective, but you could see that this list contains small cap stocks, ETFs, could be leverage products, could be a preferred stock, a closed-end fund, any security that is listed on the major U.S. exchanges that will meet our thresholds and is trading in the pre-market hours can make this list. And we want to narrow down this list to a smaller group of stocks to get better insights. And what I'm going to do is narrow down this list to S&P 500 companies only. Okay, so to do that, I have to use the filters. I'm going to use the filters here above, and this one in ETF. When you click on it, drops it down, you get a list of different ETFs to choose from. The top one, SPY, that's the S&P 500 ETF. When you click on that, the table below will get filtered by the stocks that are holdings in SPY, which are the S&P 500 constituents. In here, got 10 that made our percentage gainers list, 11 on the decliners. So kind of even, I would say kind of a little bit neutral at the open from this perspective. We still have a lot of earnings actually coming out. So when you come up here, this is a list of the stocks. That's what it's doing in the pre-market. So you could see the percentage change from the previous day. If you scroll all the way to the alerts, this little E, that's letting us know that this particular stock just reported earnings either last night after the close or this morning. And this stock is probably reacting to that news. So we're getting a lot of ease here and a lot of ease here on the decliners. So still we're in the midst of earnings season. If there are no questions on so far, what I'll do is maybe navigate to another pre-market report.
All right, perfect.
Okay. I'm going to come up here and we have these tabs. And when we look at the pre-market volume as a whole, we can take that volume and slice it and dice it into different categories, or however we want to categorize them. And one way we do is take out the large block trades. Okay, so we could have volume that accumulates, but it could be a lot of small trades, or within those small trades there could be very large trades in there that cross either in the dark pool, or could cross on the exchange, but a very big block trade. And what if we want to extract those and see what's going on in those block trades? And you could see here, I'm going to come over here. This is a list of block trades. And you have these are the symbols, right? This is the details of the block trades. So the timestamp, these are trading in the pre-market hours. This is the value of the trade. This is the size. So 12,500 shares traded at a single price, 73.02. So that's a single trade, happened in a dark pool. And that's almost $1 million worth of stock. Okay, $912,000 worth of stock. And the way the block trades make this list is that either they meet a minimum size requirement, so here over 10,000, or a minimum value requirement. Really, and we'll kind of follow what New York Stock Exchange would consider a block trade. But you get this list here. There are a lot of them. You could filter by symbol or use the filters above. But I'm going to go to another report which kind of aggregates these block trades by symbol.
Hey, D.
Okay? Yeah.
We are getting a question from Rob. He's asking, would Dimitri please talk about the support and resistance tab as well?
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to come over here. And what this does, I'm going to go to this tab. It aggregates the block trades. Okay, so it says, okay, I'm going to take all the block trades for, each symbol. Okay, we're going to consolidate them and kind of get a picture of what may be going on. All right, and here it divides them up into two sections, the block trades, and then it kind of gives us a relative value as well. So let's do Apple, for instance. So this is Apple, and it detected here a total of $21.1 million worth of block trades. Okay, so this is in total volume, just trades that we would consider large. And it divided them into two sections. The stocks that traded, the trades that were below the current price, and trades that were above the current price, and looks at them, how many of those block trades transacted below where the most recent price is, how many above, and we get the average price, the number of trades, and the total value of them. So here in Apple, there are a total of 35 trades that transacted below the current price, $53.92. If we take a volume weighted average price of all those 35 trades, they were $153.76. And the total dollar value of those trades were $13.8 million. So now we got a sense of, how many of these block trades traded today below the most current price, the total dollar value, and the VWAP price. And then we could do the same thing above, right? So these would be above the current price. So we had 21 total trades above the current price for an average volume weighted average price of 54.08 and a total dollar value of 7.3 million.
Hey,
So you can kind of see where, yeah.
We're getting a question from Raj, who's new to the Chameleon community. He's asking, do you report block trades real time, or is it an end of the day summary? I know it's not real time.
It's not real time. The data itself, the market data, okay, is on a 15-minute delay. So as far as market data goes, it's on at least a 15-minute delay. Okay, so this right now, the pre-market trades that we're looking at right now are today's trades. These are happening right now in the pre-market. The data itself is delayed by at least 15 minutes. So these are today's trades, right? And we could go over here. It's coming from here, block trades. So if I put in Apple, right, these are the individual trades. So you could see the timestamps: 8:53 today a.m., 8:52, 14 a.m., 8:49 a.m., 8:47. So you could see these are all today's trades happening in the pre-market. And this report here is aggregating those trades. Okay.
Perfect.
So, and now we kind of get, a little bit better picture from an aggregated standpoint, because obviously if we're just looking at these Apple trade, there's a lot of them going on. As you can see here, I have 3 pages just today, right, of trades. And this kind of just takes it and makes it, a summary of it. And we could kind of see where so far the support and resistance were hitting with those block trades, right? So down here, these trades occurred and stock floated up. And these trades were, when it occurred, couldn't break above that, floated down. So far these are kind of based on the block trades, VWAP trades, where they traded. We kind of get a picture of how far apart they were and the magnitude of them. So we could also compare today's trades. So in total, there are $21.1 million worth of these block trades. But is that high or low? So to get a sense if today is high or low, what we do is look back in the last 30 days and say, typically, what does trade in the pre-market in Apple, right? If we took the Apple trades in the pre-market, block trades, and summed them all up on a daily average, how much dollars worth. And you can see here, 30-day average, 67.5 million. So if we compare 21 million to 67.5 million, that's only, 31% or a third of it. So based on that, it's not very high. This isn't unusual. This is just what's happening, but there's nothing crazy going on where we're seeing a big increase all of a sudden in block trades going on. Like doesn't look like somebody really needs to do something, all of a sudden. This is what we basically usually see, but we do still get a sense of where they're trading, what they're doing in the pre-market, what's going on. And over here, so that's one way to look at it. If there's something weird or unusual, we could take a look at the relative volume. Well, this is unusual because we got Activision here, right, trading $165 million worth of stock in a pre-market, and typically we see 2.4 million. So that's something different, right? So that's unusual. Why is there so much, of this happening in the pre-market? Something might be going on. So that's one clue to kind of give us an idea to start looking. So what I'll do here, I'm going to filter out. Let's look at, to make this easier, let's look at stocks that are in S&P 500. So I'm going to narrow down this group, only S&P 500. And let's see where there's something unusual. So you see relative notional. Let's make that above 2. So whatever right now, whatever's trading in the pre-market, we want to see where the block trade volume, dollar volume, is 2 times, what we typically see. Okay, so now we narrowed this list down. You can see 14, right? 14 stocks that made this list. Yeah.
We just had a new user ask, how do you navigate to this actual screen?
Yeah. So you could start out, when you start out, to go to the pre-market, you could just click on this, pre-market trading. Actually, if you just click in here, I think the first thing is pre-market trading, and you'll end up on this summary. So when you navigate to it using this tab, so you see these tabs, I just clicked on this support resistance. Okay, so that's how I got to it. All right, so now we're on this report, and I used 2 filters because I wanted to narrow it down to a group of stocks. So what did I do? Let's use the S&P 500, SPY stocks, and let's use where the relative notional volume, relative dollar volume, is 2 times what this particular stock does on average in a pre-market. So now we get different picture, and we see that we narrowed it down to 14 stocks, and here are the relative volumes. So Activision 70 times more, Chipotle, CVS, and so forth. Now, there's probably news on them, right? To look at that up, you see these little fact sheets. You just click on that, right? You get, and I'm going to move this up. You don't have to move to a different page. You get a lot of details about this stock. You can see Activision Blizzard. So I'm going to go to the news here, click on the news. So Microsoft Activision deal may be substantially less, or may substantially lessen competition. So if you know the story, Activision's trying to get, they're trying to take it over Microsoft, but they need to get approval. So it's reacting to some news where, a regulator might not approve it. So that's part of the reason it's going down. Again, just open it if you're curious about it. If you're CVS, if I click on it, again, news, see it's up in pre-market, news, and here's the news. You could just scroll down, CVS trades higher mid oak deal and so forth. So you could just read it over there. I'm not going to, spend too much time on that. I'll leave that up to you. So the next thing is, what we kind of want to see is, the way that the way the block trades are trading. So let's just take all the other noise kind of away. There's still going to be a lot of volume around it, right? We're ignoring the other volumes, and we're just looking at block trades alone. And we want to see, are they trading in a bullish pattern or bearish pattern? In other words, the way they're trading, are they breaking up above previous days' support and resistance levels in a meaningful way, or breaking down below yesterday's support and resistance in a meaningful way? So you could see here right now, a lot of them, we're not getting any indicators because they're kind of still trading, even though they're bouncing around, right? 72.25, 73, 72. It hasn't really broken down or up in a meaningful way where we could say that's probably still a reasonable range for it to trade in. Okay. But some of them are breaking up or down, and that's where this indicator comes in. So for example, CVS, that is up, up on, so you could see here, the stock is up on the day, 88.44, about $9.8 million worth of stock traded below that price, and 4.2 million traded above that price. It is trading on a high volume, and the way that we're detecting the prices are moving, it's doing it in a fashion that's, breaking up in a meaningful way, using previous support and resistance. Okay, so if we went back yesterday, which you can do here, that, let me see if that, so you could see here yesterday it was breaking up, same thing, see, and we could go back previous days and so forth. So what it's doing, it's been moving kind of in a bullish manner, the way these block trades have been traded. Okay, let me, February 6th, not much. Let me go back to today's. So, and you can see here, I could just filter by symbol. I just put CVS here, but I'm going to let go. Just click X. It goes back to the previous filtered list. Okay. Hold on. What did I do here? I think I just, let me refresh my screen. So let's go back. SPY relative volume 2. So I think what okay, here we go. We're back to 14. And hold on. What was I talking about? CVS, right? So it did remove that bullish indicator. Okay, so maybe it came back in.
Hey D.
Yeah.
We did get a question from a newer Chameleon in the chat, and I just wanted to get to it because and I know obviously any transaction there's a buyer and seller, but he was asking how exactly do you identify if it's, I guess, moving the market in if it was buying in a bullish manner or bearish manner. Is that the big money flow indicator? Is that showing that?
Yeah. So what it does is it takes today's support and resistance, right? And it does a couple things. First, it says it compares it to previous day support and resistance. So if the support bid is above yesterday's resistance, right? If it's broken through that yesterday's resistance, then that's one of the factors it looks at. Then what it does is it looks at the value traded on the support side versus the resistance side. So right here, I think this just changed where the value, there must have been another, since I refreshed, another trade, and it looks at that there's a much higher value traded below and the stock floated up than above, meaning that there's a good amount of stock that traded and the stock went up, and we don't find enough on this side so far to create a resistance. So then it weighs the value of the traded on the support versus the resistance. So I think this just flipped, okay, since I refreshed. So this page here, right, it doesn't refresh itself. You have to refresh the screen, so you'd have to press this or refresh. So when you're looking at the data isn't just changing. You get to analyze the data at that moment in time. If you want to refresh the screen, it gets you the latest data. So I think once I just refreshed it, this, you see here on the buy side, 7.6 million, on the sell side 8.7 million. In other words, it's a little bit more balanced right now on each side, and so it could be hitting an area where right now this is just a new spot. So here, for example, bearish, right? It's moving down. So these levels are below yesterday's support resistance, and we still have a much more meaningful amount that traded above the price, and we haven't found anything yet, a support that's stopping it there. So right now it's still moving in a bearish manner.
Hey, okay. Rob is asking, even though this is from the pre-market part of Market Chameleon, does this update during the day? So I guess he's trying to see these block trades during the day. I know we have a block trade screener. Is it set up the same way for during the day?
Right. So to look at it during the day, it is a different report, and that's here, big money stock. So if you click on there, okay, this is already during. So this is for yesterday because we haven't opened yet. So this is yesterday's, end of day report. But once the market opens, remember we're on a 15-minute delay, but once the data starts coming in, then this report will be updating throughout the day. So just like the pre-market, it doesn't take one, but once the opening starts, this report itself, it's not going to take the pre-market data into it. It starts from the opening, what happens from the opening price. Okay. So the pre-market and the regular trading hours, two different reports. Okay. But this one, let me come back to it. This one is looking at the pre-market, which is what is going on right now, right? What is going on right now before the market opens? What kind of trades are coming in prior to the market open?
Perfect. We only have
to go over it again tomorrow. If there seems like there are questions, so maybe I'll do it again.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. We did. Michael McRae was asking again. He sent a question last week or early in the week about trying to screen for spreads. I think credit spreads that cover 33% of the. He was looking at $5 wide spreads. I think. Is there a way to search for that? Is that something we could look at tomorrow? I know we only have a minute.
Yeah, or what, if you could bring that up tomorrow.
All right. Question Michael, remind me again. I will email myself. Great job, Dima, as always.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. Stay safe out there. Have a great trading day.